Stuart,
Yes.
can you speak about expressing gratitude when you receive a blessing?
Well, it's a simple interchange. Say thank you. Thank you for giving me something that really has helped me in my life. It's not hard to do unless there's a lot of ego involvement in which you don't think you need anybody else. And of course, that's not true. We need people. We need life. We need the objective world. We need to be given presents. We need to receive things, especially when the things are given from the heart. And then the easiest answer is just thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for thinking about me, for caring about me, for helping to support my life. This is not a hard question. It's a very easy answer to this question. And the answer is from the heart. Look, if you give unconditionally and it comes from the heart, it's a sacred gift. If you give with conditions, even if the conditions are that you demand somebody to receive it, then the gift becomes not sacred. If you receive that way unconditionally and allow that gift to go into your heart, then it's very sacred. If you're entitled and you think that everybody's got to serve you and do for you and you don't have to contribute, understand you're just creating hell in the world. So it all depends entirely upon whether or not the heart is open and one has enough humility to say thank you to somebody else. One has enough humility to say, I apologize because I made a mistake to somebody else. Just doing that lets life move on a very good plane, on a very good level. And usually it breaks down a lot of tension that exists between people. Now you could tell them how to live, how not to live, how this and that, and blah, blah, you know better. I don't know better. I don't know better than any of you. I really don't. I listen, I learn, and I try to respond with gratitude from my heart to the gifts of life that you're giving me, being here, doing this, opening, trying to be with God, trying to have a spiritual life. So the answer, Larry, is thank you. And you'll be amazed at how far that'll take you in a relationship with another human being. They'll be shocked, first of all, because nobody does it. Second of all, they'll look at you weird. And then third of all, their heart will melt and you suddenly have a much deeper connection with another human being.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question?
Stuart,
Yes?
do you have any advice for somebody who wants to develop their intuition and open themselves up to guidance from spirit?
Do I have advice for them? Yes. Find somebody to teach them how to do it. That's my advice. Look, when I was younger, Tonya, look, I thought I knew a lot about spirituality. I really did. And I was 16 years old. I'm reading books on Buddhism and Hinduism and, psychiatrists and psychology. I mean, my God, I filled myself with so much stuff. And I thought I had a certain kind of wisdom until I discovered I was totally full of shit, that I needed training. I needed to learn how to do it. And I spent literally 9 years of my life living in hell, thinking that I manufactured mantras for myself and chants for myself, and I meditated what I thought was meditation. And I was just driving myself crazy until I said, no, Stuart, you have to find somebody who can teach you how to do this. Somebody that's been over the path, understand, that has learned through their own hard knocks living how to build a connection with God and was open enough to teach you how to do it. Took me 9 years of looking for that. Finally found Rudy, God bless him, you know? And he was the first person I really found who I connected with on that level. So whoever this person is, tell them to stop knocking their brains out. They need to have a teacher. They need to find somebody who can show them. Look, having a spiritual life is the single most difficult thing you can do on the earth. Why? You have to overcome the single most difficult person that you live with on the earth, yourself. It's very difficult, and one has to learn how to do it. Otherwise, look, sanitariums are full of people on LSD, on marijuana, on hallucinogens, people that have made themselves crazy and they suddenly became avatars and all kinds of stuff like this. I mean, I've met people like this, They had no training. They had a certain kind of gift without training. So whoever this person is, they have to find somebody they connect with, who they'll listen to and learn from. Somebody who's been over the path, who lives with that unconditional love and is willing to give it to another human being. And somebody whose their chemistry works with. Because look, what I do doesn't work for everybody. Otherwise, there'd be 10,000 people sitting here. So whoever it is, they have to find a person like that who can teach them how to do it. Plus, finding a person like that means you got to surrender everything you know. You have to let go in order to listen and learn and build a spiritual life. But sometimes what we think we know about a spiritual life just congests the pathway. It really congests the pathway. So you got to surrender. Having a teacher, having, in quotes, a guru or whatever it is, forces you to surrender. I had to surrender totally when I was around Rudy, completely. And it took me further in my spiritual development than anything I knew about spiritual development. Just that level of surrender. I saw that he had to do that with his teacher. And boy, what he had to surrender to be around Muktananda, God only knows. And I once asked him, I said, why do you do this, Rudy? He said, he's the only person I know who can break me down. And I need to be broken down. I need to get free of myself. He forces me by the very nature of his chemistry to get to God. I mean, it was one of the most powerful things I ever learned when I saw him do that. So whoever the person is, and they say when a student is ready, the teacher will be there, and it's absolutely the truth. The moment a student gets ready to truly have a spiritual life, a teacher will manifest himself or herself. So I know what happened to me. Spent all those years, I did Hare Krishna. I mean, God knows what I did. Anything to do. And the day I was ready is the day I met Rudy. He told me, I saw you looking in the store of my window. It was like seeing my son lost in the universe. I just pulled you right in the door. I was ready. Up until that point, I wasn't ready. I was knocking my brains out. So whoever it is, God bless them that they have a need for that, if they do have a need for that. And if it's real, a teacher will manifest in their life.
Helpful advice.
Excuse me?
Helpful advice.
Well, I try, you know.
You do.
I've been through so much in my life that I've seen all this stuff. I've been around people who knew so much about spirituality, they drove me out of the room. I mean that. And then I was around Rudy. I mean, a guy from Brooklyn who, you know, used to eat sloppy Joe sandwiches and hamburgers and go to the Second Avenue Deli for hot dogs. You know, it was the exact opposite of everything I thought was spiritual. First time I sat down with him in his apartment, he invited me to come upstairs. I really mean this. I sat down, I'm doing this meditation, and he asked somebody, one of his students, to bring him a scotch. You know, and honestly, it was absolutely the most diametrically opposed thing I ever thought about a guru sitting there and drinking scotch. I never saw Rudy drink again. And it was almost like God was showing me, Stuart, how full of shit I was and how judgmental I was. And do you really want a teacher? And can you forgive him drinking a glass of scotch? You know, while you're sitting here and meditating. I never saw him drink again in the 6 years I was with him. It was my test. Although he wasn't conscious, it was God testing me. You know, Muktananda tested me. If I didn't go through all that training with Rudy, I would have never survived. When he said, you know, how, I remember, you know, when are you going to come visit me in Ganesh Puri? Abba, I don't know. This happened 3, 4 straight days. I'll never forget it. Every time there was a satsang, when are you going to visit me in Ganesh Puri? Baba, I don't. Finally, I sat and Nityananda came in my hotel room. You'll go to Ganesh Puri when Rudy sends you to Ganesh Puri. And in a very spiritual and political way, I told Swami Muktananda, you are not my teacher. When Rudy sends me to Ganesh Puri, I will go to Ganesh Puri. I didn't even know what I was doing. It was God talking for me. I really mean that. It's just what came through. And then Muktananda called me into his bedroom, gave me a long orange robe and said, you will be a great teacher someday. So what I'm saying is when you get training, God works for you in very mysterious ways. Very mysterious ways. Things you'll never understand, but you learn to listen instead of knowing better. Does anyone else have a question? Great question. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, there will be meditation on Sunday. Thank you all. Thank you, Zoom, that we can do this. It's amazing. People from all over the world here. It's really a miracle. And thank you all for participating and wanting to have a spiritual life, forcing me to work on myself in very great depth. So God bless you all. And
God
there'll be
bless
a
you.
class on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.